Welcome to the Hammer Away Show. I am your host, Cynthia W. Hammer, coming to you every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We have a great show for you today. We have an executive producer, a best-selling author. He is also has been nominated for several awards and is an award winner of the Peabody and the NAACP Image Awards. Please welcome to the Hammer Away Show, Mr. Rodney Barnes. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Well, let me just say that, let me fan out just a little bit and say that you've done a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So bravo. Oh, you deserve it. You have an extraordinary resume and you still look so young. So I'm thinking, is there more? Well,
I think the young thing must be this new iPhone, this filter that they put on iPhones. Because I don't think I've ever felt older than I do today. But thank you nonetheless. Is there more? Yeah, there's more. I'll probably keep going. My cardiologist said the other day, I'm never going to retire. So he's probably right.
Okay. Well, we're going to take it easy on you because, okay, we'll get to that. And I'll tell you why I made that statement. But let me start by, where did you grow up, Rodney, for the audience?
I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland, Eastport to be specific.
Okay. So I'm looking over a lot of your work. I mean, there's a lot. It took me like weeks. And, I'm a good study, but, I'm a huge comic book fan. I love to read. So we'll just start with Philadelphia. It goes from Baltimore into Philadelphia. Is that a little jab at anything to do with how you grew up or what your thoughts are on the area? Because I know you know the area, you're from the East Coast.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I think the sequel to, the spinoff of Philadelphia is coming in October, and that's set in Baltimore and in Annapolis as well. So I kind of, I've always been intrigued by the history of the whole Delmarva, Northeast America, kind of the political history, the social history. It's always been intriguing to me. So anytime I can add genre elements to that, sort of the fun thing for me.
Okay. I mean, I just thought, well, because, when I do my writing, I have found out that when you have certain experiences you draw from, and I already know, I'm guessing that through the years you have drawn from, and then we know a lot of it is creativity. I mean, good Lord, we'll get to it, but there's a lot that you have created. And so speaking of that, I know this is a cliche question, but for my audience, because people are on social media, they do so much, you kind of have to catch them up to who the icons are in the 21st century. Okay. So how did you start with, what is the prerequisite with My Wife and Kids, Everybody Hates Chris? How did you get to that start?
I did a lot of, excuse me, when I was a student at Howard University, I used to work as a production assistant and an assistant director on movies in the DC, Maryland area, a lot of stuff in DC. And eventually I went down to Virginia and I worked on a movie, Major Pain, where I worked with Damon Wayans, and we hit it off immediately. And I followed him around the country working on a bunch of his movies, and eventually came to LA. And it was on his suggestion that if I really wanted to be a writer, I would have to relocate from Maryland to LA, and I did. And lived in my car for a while, and just worked a bunch of odd jobs, and eventually got an opportunity to work one day on Damon's show, My Wife and Kids, and I just never went home, literally. And I worked there for about, I did 5 seasons, I believe, on Wife and Kids, and then 4 seasons, the whole run of Everybody Hates Chris. And then on top of, I did the Boondocks while I was working on both of those other 2 shows. So that sort of I don't know if it completely answers the question, but it all started with Damon and my wife and kids.
Are you two still friends? Do you talk to the Winans?
Yeah, I see him from time to time. We don't talk as much, of course, because the nature of this kind of work, I mean, work for the most part, 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours a day. And then in between trying to write books, comic books, movies, different things, pilots, doesn't leave a whole lot of social time.
I know. I don't know how you get it all in because some of the things that you've done, okay, so you've done a mass amount of work, but you also decided to branch out business wise. And I'm going to ask you why once I ask you this question. Well, I know why, but so the audience can understand. You have created so much, but it seemed like you really pressed on the gas. I was checking out Zombie Love Studios. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, Zombie Love Studios came about. My manager and I were having a conversation about the amount of books I was doing. And I'm currently doing, I'm looking to my whiteboard. I have 3 books at Image Comics, and I'm doing 2 for Marvel right now, 3 for Dynamite, and 1 for Oni Press. And it was like, okay, it would be great for some of the ideas and some of the things I wanted to do to not have to go through other publishers and not to have to go through any other approval process. So he suggested I start a studio. And I was a little bit ambivalent because it's a lot of work and I don't know much about the publishing part other than creating things. And so I had to do a deep dive into that. And I basically kept the team that I had from Philadelphia. It was working with me in various capacities, similar to what we do on the Philadelphia books, and decided to start a publishing company from Zombie Love Studios. So there were 3 or 4 books. There'll be 3 books in the spring of 22. The Blackula book that was recently, they were talking about on social media from MGM.
Right.
A book, Florence and Normandy, about an alien attack on the corner that starts on the corner of Florence and Normandy, a story I came up with Exhibit, the rapper, and Crownsville, based on the mental hospital in our hometown.
I had that as the last question, but yes, keep going, please. I want to ask you about that.
So, a deep dive into history, and if you think ghost stories, sort of like The Shining,
it's going to be scary.
Yeah, that's the idea, and really encompassing certain parts of my history with the hospital and family members who have been there, and just the overall history of Annapolis as it relates to the hospital. So those are the first 3 books. I'm probably going to put out 1 trade a month. That's the plan right now, if I can keep to it and keep this rigorous schedule up for a while. But that's Zombie Love Studios for today.
Okay, so you're doing the writing? Is the illustrator still the gentleman you're working with?
Yeah, Jason Sean Alexander.
Jason Sean.
Yeah, Jason Sean Alexander is doing Blackula with me. Jonathan Wayshak is doing Florence and Normandy, and Elia Bonetti, I hope I'm not messing his name up, he's doing Crownsville. And all 3 have been doing stellar work. They push me to try to write better words, and very proud of what we've gotten so far, and look forward to more.
So are you calling on are you calling back east to ask people questions about Crownsville? Because I actually grew up in Crownsville, and when the siren would sound that there was an an escaped mental person for a child in elementary school, because there was a school right, like it connected the grounds a couple of hills over. It connected the grounds to the nursing home and to Crownsville. And we'd have to run back inside from recess and put our heads down. And one day I looked up and I saw it burns in my image. It's very traumatizing. And there's we all have a lot of stories from mental patients. And we're not talking like the mental where you go to a psychiatrist and sit down. We're talking a lot of history with, I don't want to get myself in trouble because you know how everybody is, you don't gotta watch what you say.
Yeah.
But my point is, it was very traumatizing. Do you have stories where you have witnessed yourself? Obviously you do, but do you have stories?
Yeah. Several stories from family members, and stories I've been told.
Yeah.
I was there a couple of weeks ago and almost got arrested because you're not supposed to go to Crownsville.
It's closed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I went. Um, and
They shut it down
but
a few years back, right?
yeah, they did,
Yeah.
2004, I believe.
Yeah.
But and I'm trying to get permission right now to go back there later this fall. But yeah, a lot of stories, a lot of history, things that I've been told through urban myth and things I've seen myself. But
Yeah.
I just think, Annapolis is a city with a lot of secrets, and I think
Good
putting
point.
some mythology to those secrets is sort of a goal.
Wow. Yeah, when I saw that, I said, okay, he's going to do Crownsville. When it's funny how things come full circle, because I've always, for real, I don't like using the word Crownsville, because everyone always connected you to the hospital. So I would say Annapolis or Baltimore, but growing up in Crownsville, everyone just said, oh, the mental institution. So, but to see you going to write about something that I know about and make that connection, it was very cool. It is very cool that you're going to write about that. I am I'm not ready to jump out of my seat because I just can't wait to see what you're going to do with it.
Well,
Because
thank you.
like I said, I'm
No,
sorry, go
thank
ahead.
you. I think a lot of writers use their hometowns as because that's where you kind of form your impression of what the world is. And I think for me, there's so many nuances that, Annapolis being a slave port and has a very unique history. And I think being able to use the personal part of the history that I'm attached to, but also the history in general that my culture is attached to, and also little nuanced things like Crownsville and other stories that I hope to be able to tell about the area. I think really will bring hopefully another dimension to the city. It's known mostly as a tourist town and the boat show and all colonial Annapolis and all of that, which is fantastic. I just think that sometimes there's a voice that doesn't always get heard and has sort of been pushed down by time. And so I hope that whatever work I do and in some way can bring some of those stories to light.
Absolutely. I'll get to the love. Annapolis does support the people that leave and come back. If you write about anything, just a teensy weensy bit of Annapolis or Maryland, they'll get behind it, right, as you know. And I wanted to ask you something because I saw a post the other day and I want to make sure I get it right because I hope you can talk about this. Because I'm wondering if you're transitioning to more of I don't want to do the Black culture kind of conversation, but are you transitioning to more of things, like you said, to broaden your horizon, to stretch out other conversations? And I saw you post something, am I saying it right? Ocean Sweet? Am I saying that right?
Ocean Sweet is yeah, he was a doctor. It's a movie that I wrote with my writing partner at times, Max Bornstein. We're working together on the Laker show. We wrote a script called Arc of Justice.
Yes. Russell Crowe.
That was and David Oyelowo. I think we have a different cast now, but we wrote that a few years ago. We were on the blacklist as one of the best unproduced scripts of the year. It's a great story. It's about some of the stories that were under the formation of the NAACP. And a lot of history that was attached to that is set in 1920 in Detroit, in Black Bottom. Just a lot of historical anecdotes and famous figures from that period of time. And a trial that sort of set forth what the modern day idea of what the NAACP is today.
Yeah, I think it's a great story. I wasn't sure if you could talk about it, so thank you. I'm hoping that it'll, become a film, because I think it's a great story. But you just mentioned the Lakers, and so is that a project in the works for HBO, or are you doing that now?
Yeah, we're shooting. We're shooting as we speak. We should be finished. We should be finished soon. We should be finished over the course of the next month and a half, maybe. We're probably on episode 7 or 8 right now. They all kind of come together. Everything sort of blends together. But yeah, I've been working on it for past 2.5 years.
Okay, so okay, so did you meet Magic Johnson? Did you meet Larry Bird? Do you have to meet them to tell the story?
No. Where it comes from, it's a book called Showtime by Jeff Pearlman. It's based on that book, which is sort of a comprehensive study of the Showtime era Lakers. And that book is the foundation of basically what the show is. And most of the people that are involved, Magic, Kareem, they have their own books in general that are public knowledge. And so most of the sourcing we're getting from there and sports historians and that type of thing.
Is it going to be similar to what Michael Jordan did? Because I thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah, no, that was a documentary. This is a scripted show. So this is more of a drama. Okay,
great. Well, that should be fun, because the 80s basketball, good Lord, I don't know where to start. That was like the best of, right? I'm a huge fan of also the March Madness. What do you call it? The Final Four?
Yeah.
You as well?
Yeah, not as much, once time, once you're in a position to where you don't have much time, it's like I might watch the championship game, but watching all 64 teams compete at March Madness, I don't have that kind of
I wait till the final, like they say, the Final Four. I'm sorry, go ahead, Rodney.
No, I kind of go there. I don't really have an opportunity. I'll watch the Super Bowl. I'll watch the championship. I'll watch whatever, but I don't have a whole lot of time anymore. I wish I did.
Okay, so a day in the life of Rodney Barnes. What is it? You sound very busy. Do you take a vacation? Does your day start at 5 a.m. and end at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's according to when our call time is. Usually the beginning of the week, it's 7 but we have to gatekeep because of COVID. So
oh, that's right.
I'll go in at 6 and get tested for COVID, and we have to wait an hour until we get our results. And then once we're cleared, we can go into work, and it's usually a 12, 14-hour day. So then I come back and I have to work on comics or, like I said, movies or other TV shows or other things. And really, I'm doing it throughout the day. If I get a moment here or there to jot some notes down or take a call or have a Zoom meeting or something. But it's a packed day.
Well, is this the life you dreamed of? Because when you say that you have to, you are Rodney Barnes, you set your schedule. Can you take a day off and just for half an hour, not right? Like,
no, that can't. When you're beholden to studios, when studios entrust you with, a certain position on a television show, you have to live up to that obligation if you want to work on another television show, or if you try to sell your wares. It's you're making a pact to see through your responsibilities and obligations. So, when the season ends, I may do something. I usually do once a year. I'll do a big trip or something like that. But for the most part, especially with the show that'll be ongoing, we're already starting to write season 2 now as we're weighing down season 1. So,
are you referring to the Lakers on HBO?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
So that's already started. We can watch it. It's up.
No. When we finish shooting, we haven't finished shooting yet.
Okay.
Once we finish shooting, the show will probably air in March of 2022.
Nice.
And but we'll already be in production for season 2 while season 1 is airing.
Okay. Do you have your own movie studio as well?
I have a production company.
Company. Is that the same as Zombie Studios or something different?
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's Rodney Barnes Productions that oversees the movie and television stuff that I do. And Zombie Love Studios is books and graphic novels.
Congratulations, Rodney. Good gracious. I said you stepped on the gas. Wow, that is really awesome. Like, you have to, do you feel a sense of, well, I always say when people get there, do they know it? Like, is this something you hope to have attained, or was there a purpose to go, like you said, into publishing, into your own studio?
Not really. I mean, all I wanted in the beginning was to be able to write, and hopefully somebody thought my writing would be good enough that they would pay me to do it. Um, Everything else is sort of grown from a desire. Once you get in it and it evolves, that there's certain types of stories I want to do, certain type of work I want to be involved in,
Mhm.
and unless you control um, your interest in the project, you really are just working for somebody else, which isn't a bad thing, but it's difficult to get to the specificity and nuance sometimes that comes with dealing with very really cultural specific storylines and ideas. So it kind of made it necessary to have my own companies and to try to do these things on my own, because left to having to go to someone else, you sort of have to tell the story the way they want it told, or at least make that compromise. And after having done this as long as I've been doing it, I'm less apt to want to make those concessions en masse, with everything. So had to start a couple companies.
Yeah, I like that. I understand for sure, because I've written three novels. My first novel is Iceberg, about my younger brother falling through the Severn River along the Chesapeake Bay in Crownsville. That's a whole. I usually tell everyone, pick up a copy of Iceberg, A Good Case, and the Seven Rivers on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Arthur House. But where I'm going, Rodney, is that I was listening to Barbara Streisand. She has a new album out. I don't know when it came out. It just popped up in my feed. But she was talking about why she directed her own, all three of her films, was because in her mind, and as a creator, in your mind, you have it a certain way. And writing is a gift. And, putting to fruition best-selling novels is a gift. And if you're trying to get that out to the world, to the public to see it, you see it a certain way. So I understand what you're saying, but she said it just like that. And I'm like, yes, because a lot of times you do want your own. That's why I like being an indie author, because I get to do it my way. I don't knock anybody who works with other people. I think it's awesome. And if you can, you should. But eventually, like you did, you pivoted because you have a certain vision. And why not? Why not? As a creator, you need the space to spread your wings. So I'm not going to keep you any longer, because you look like you have somewhere to go. Where are you going today?
I'm not going in. I'm just going to be in my office writing for the rest of the day. I'm not going anyplace.
Okay, so I know that you meant your favorite idol, Stephen King.
Mm-hmm.
Do tell, please.
I was working on a movie, Stigmata, many years ago, and I saw that they were casting for a movie, The Green Mile, not too far away. And although I didn't look like the character in the book, I really wanted to meet Stephen King. So I found out the transportation captain on my show was going to go over to the Green Mile, and I begged him to take me with him so that I could beg for a job to someone, because I really wanted to meet Stephen King.
Yeah.
And he allowed me to meet Frank Darabont, who was the director, and I pled my case that I really loved him and I loved the book and I loved Shawshank and blah, blah, blah. And he let me be a stand-in for Michael Clark Duncan on the movie, even though we looked nothing alike. And it was a great experience. And eventually Stephen King came and he signed all my books, and we had a couple of great conversations, and just a really great guy. And it helped sort of, in a way, boost my
I know
what's
what
their
you mean.
motivation? The motivational things that it's possible to be an author, it's possible to do this thing, because when you come from a small town that is as far away from California and Hollywood as it could be, sometimes you look for motivation outside of yourself. And
Yeah.
for someone who also came from a small town and was able to build an entire industry and inspire millions and millions of people with his work, I wanted to do a similar thing. So it was really, really gratifying that, I've been able to meet him and most of my writing idols, Neil Gaiman, Richard Matheson. It's been great so far to be able to, break bread with those guys.
Well, it's nice to have somebody to pour into you, because when taking, swing at bat is new and you're out there and you go out for the first time to LA, how did you not get caught up? I mean, did you get caught up? Did you keep your head on? Like, how did you do that? Because you left years ago and young, and to have achieved so much, you had to have, did you keep your head on, Rodney?
Yeah, I mean, when I came out here, it was just about survival. I mean, it was more of what's the quickest path to jobs and opportunity and all of that. And I think I spent my first 5 or 6 years out here just working as a production assistant and an AD, trying to find my way and trying to figure out how the system worked and meeting the right people, doing the right work, trying to develop as a writer, trying to develop as a person. There were so many things I didn't have. I had a massive amount of insecurity that I brought with me from Maryland. And, it just took a lot to be able to figure out my path and how I wanted to do things. And I'm still figuring it out. It's not like I have all the answers, but I'm just doing my best to do my best work, and hopefully people like it. And I'm blessed enough to continue on.
Well, you're definitely gifted. There's no question. It's a gift. No question. And before we go, 2 more questions. You have mentioned that, if that's okay with you, you have mentioned that you grew up, that you had a great imagination. Was that because of out of a need of loneliness? Because I had a great imagination too. I was bullied. I was shy and I was bullied. So I escaped in my imagination. It paid off in the long run, but you write horror, like, it's coming from where?
I think all horror, I too, as an only child, I spent a lot of time with myself, but I think there was a duality to it too. A lot of my friends and contemporaries didn't like the stuff that I liked. I had this weird, what was beautiful when I was growing up as a kid, there was so many movie theaters in Annapolis. You had 2 in Parole, you had the Capitol on West Street, you had the Playhouse on Main Street, you had the Circle on Church Circle, not Church Circle, State Circle, and Eastport Cinema. And it was just like everywhere there was a movie theater. So every movie that came out, I could see it somewhere if I just wanted to walk to it or whatever. And I spent a lot of time in movie theaters watching a bunch of movies. And the Circle in particular would have, like, in the mornings, they had double features of kid movies, like Disney movies. And then at night, they would have the adult movies, like the horror films and the Chuck Norris movies and all of that stuff. So I was just immersed in, that was my window into the world outside of my small town, was being able to just see how stories were told. And I think that was my film school. That was my figuring out what I wanted to be. I just didn't have a bridge to get there.
Wow.
So yeah, I would credit that part of my child rearing to my imagination, was certainly just spending a lot of time reading comic books and going to movies. That was my thing.
Awesome. Okay, so Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee? Who do you choose?
Christopher Lee.
Oh, I love Peter Cushing. Okay.
I love Peter. Peter
good,
Cushing's
right?
fantastic, but Christopher Lee had an extra. If there was a sexy component to him, to a vampire, Christopher Lee was a little sexier than Peter Cushing for me.
I love it. Okay. On that note, I could talk to you forever, but I know you have to get back to creating. So thank you so much for coming on the Hammer Away Show. Looking out for a hometown woman, hometown man. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. You have a great day, Rodney. Take care of yourself.
All right. Take it easy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.